6 months after the Clone Wars kicked off at the Battle of Geonosis, one young Jedi Knight was sent on a mission that almost no other Jedi would dare to accept. Jedi Knight Bultar Swan was tasked with assassinating one of the most horrific war criminals to walk the face of the galaxy. So before we get into it, make sure to hit the subscribe button for more awesome Star Wars lore content. The story begins 6 months after the deadly Battle of Geonosis, where Bultar Swan actually fought as part of Mace Windu's Jedi assault team on the planet. Awesomely, she did actually appear in Attack of the Clones, and became one of the very few Jedi survivors of that day. Bultar Swan was the Padawan of Master Micah Giiett during her early years at the Jedi Order. But after his unfortunate death, she was trained in lightsaber fighting skills and defensive techniques under Master Plo Koon himself. The mission she was about to be sent on required someone with a strong sense of justice, and someone who was not afraid of the dark side corrupting them. Obviously, Plo Koon was famous for his sense of justice, so someone trained by him like Swan was the perfect choice. Swan has just arrived on the surface of the planet Amortana, where she is greeted by the horrible sight of thousands upon thousands of dead bodies, including some of the clone troopers she fought alongside at the Battle of Geonosis. The huge amount of death that laid beside her meant that the dark side flowed incredibly intensely here, and was part of the reason that almost no other Jedi wanted to accept this mission. Despite this, she moves forward and finally arrives at the massive fortress where the Separatist war criminal is hiding inside. The confident Separatist begins broadcasting out to Bultar that his fortress is absolutely unbreakable and is reinforced with kilometers of durasteel and covered in force fields strong enough to prevent even orbital bombardment. The Arachnid Separatist leader then demands that Swan surrender immediately, and because he is so confident and arrogant, he fully believes that she will follow his orders. Instead of surrendering, however, Bultar Swan focuses her energy in the Force to repel the horrible dark side that surrounds her, focusing solely on her mission and remaining within the light. To do this, she cannot say a single word. As Bultar Swan finally makes it inside of the fortress's main building, the green-skinned Separatist continues to taunt her, saying, "To think you came all this way to capture me, I am touched." Despite this, Swan remains silent and focuses on her surroundings, eventually discovering a nearby blaster turret. Without even a moment's notice, the blaster turret fires on the Jedi, sending a red blaster bolt her way, but because of her intense focus, she is able to react to this very quickly, deflecting the bolt back away from her. Unfortunately, however, this wasn't the end of the war criminal's tricks, with more and more blaster bolts being fired at the Jedi, forcing her into a struggle and causing her to use the very rare force ability known as Tuta Minis to absorb some of the scorching bolts of energy. This is the same force ability that Master Yoda used against Count Dooku in Attack of the Clones. If you want to know more about this force ability, make sure you let me know down in the comments. While Swan is very busy deflecting and absorbing these blaster bolts, the Separatist leader, known as Eddie Wed, continues taunting her and asking her the question, "Did you think I would simply come to you? That I would accept life imprisonment on Coruscant? Typical Jedi arrogance." Following this, Bultar Swan is successfully able to deflect enough blaster bolts onto the blaster turrets, destroying them and finally bringing her back to safety, at least for now. After this, Eddie Wed begins to tell Swan the tale of how his own people attempted to put him on trial for sending resources to the Separatists, angering him to the point where he became pure evil. Swan continues traversing the fortress, leaping over walls and through pipes, but Eddie Wed tells her, "My people died just as your troopers died, trying to assault my fortress. It took some time to kill them all, but my new servants are just as expendable." And obviously being trained by Plo Koon, the Separatist using the word expendable deeply angered her. This filthy Separatist had killed the entire population of his planet, including clone prisoners of war, using very cruel and inhumane methods. Unfortunately, Bultar Swan cannot respond and must remain silent in order to keep the dark side that seeps through the whole place in check. Following this, Bultar Swan weaves her way through many traps and dangers until eventually coming to a bridge. She begins sprinting across the bridge, and Eddie Wed calls out to her saying, "You should really watch where you step, you could lose your footing," before she is attacked by a series of mini spider droids. Swan very quickly ignites her green lightsaber before the platform is broken off of its joints, forcing her to suspend it above the ground with the Force as she slices through each of the droids. As she is doing this, the horrible war criminal Separatist continues to taunt Swan, telling her, "If your soldiers were here, they could help you, but they were all slaughtered. Every last one." Yeah, this guy is a truly horrible man. Let me know in the comments what you think his punishment should be for these horrific actions. As Bultar Swan manages to chop the final droid into 2 pieces, She leaps through the air and grabs onto the platform above her before lifting herself up and continuing her journey through the massive fortress. Again, Eddie Wed continues to talk down to Swan through his intercom system, angering her slightly, but she knows that she must remain focused. Following this, he sends a pack of B2 battle droids after her, and again she has absolutely no problem slicing them in half with her emerald blade before hurling their massive metal bodies into the communication systems. Eventually, she is able to damage the comm system to the point where it is about to fail, and rushes out of the room into the next area. Still, Bultar Swan remains in silence, warding off the dark side that surrounds this whole horrible place. After this, Swan moves into the next room of the fortress, and she sees something horrifying. Many fallen clone troopers are lying long dead as a direct result of this war criminal's cruel actions. Finally, Swan makes it to the final door of the fortress. Behind this metal gate is the evil separatist himself, but he remains highly confident, shouting out to her, "You can't get in, you know. The door is too thick for your lightsaber to cut through and is magnetically locked with a triple-coated mechanism." After hearing this, Swan channels some of her anger and plunges her lightsaber into the control panel of the door, disabling all of its locking mechanisms and ensuring that the door will never be opened again by any means. As a fiery flash of light and electrical sparks blaze behind her, she remains calm and simply walks towards the exit of the fortress the exact same way she came in. The evil separatist begins to nervously laugh, realizing that something has gone horribly wrong, but in his extreme arrogance, he still shouts out to Swan, "Foolish Jedi, now there is no way to reach me." As Swan approaches the exit of Eddie Wed's towering fortress, he tries to activate his emergency exit sequence, but it is compromised, sealing him inside of his own command center. This sends him into an extreme panic, shouting for Bultar Swan, asking if she can hear him, but she is long gone. This horrible war criminal now has only minutes left on his life support system after it was damaged, with absolutely no way out of his safe room. And to end the story, the separatist leader sighs to himself, coming to the realization that the room that once kept him safe from countless clone troopers, many of his own citizens, and far greater threats, will now be his tomb. He knows that he has no chance of escape now, and simply resigns himself to fate. Finally, the lights cut to black and his life support system stops producing oxygen, leaving him to die alone as the savage man that he is. I'd like to think that this man knew that he deserved such a fate after his horrible war crimes against clone prisoners, his own citizens, and far more, but I don't think he did. His arrogance blinded him to what was really happening, leaving him vulnerable to something that he never expected. And if you want to know more about Bultar Swan and what happened to her after the Clone Wars, make sure you let me know down below and I'll be very happy to cover that. She actually has a pretty awesome story from a young age, all the way through the Clone Wars, into Order 66 and the Imperial era, so just let me know if you want to see that. So that is the Jedi who assassinated the horrible war criminal, Eddie Wed, inside of his own fortress, using a very unexpected method. Thanks so much for watching, really hope you enjoyed the video. Cheers guys, hope to see you in the next one.